Is a 7,000-pound portable hydraulic lift really worth the space it takes up in your garage? And does it make sense for the everyday DIYer who only does a tire rotation or occasional brake job? Who will actually benefit from the OMT 7000 portable car lift, and who would be better off sticking with a cheap floor jack and a pair of jack stands? And if you're looking at the price tag, does the convenience outweigh the cost for a regular car owner who isn't a professional mechanic? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the situation most of us find ourselves in. You've got a car that needs a brake pad replacement, a suspension tweak, or just a good look under the chassis, and you're staring at a 2-ton floor jack that feels like you're lifting a small elephant. The OMT lift promises to turn that awkward, one-person job into a two-person experience, at least in theory, by giving you a 27-inch maximum height and a rock-solid 7,000-pound capacity. That means it can handle everything from a compact hatchback to a full-size truck, even with a spare tire and a load of tools sitting on the axle. In practice, the first thing you notice is how the unit folds down to a size you can actually store in a typical suburban garage. The folding frame, with its built-in rollers, slides across a concrete slab or a thick garage mat, and you can wheel it right up to the vehicle without a lot of maneuvering. If you're the kind of person who spends weekends tinkering under the hood, the lift's adjustable height is a genuine time saver. You set the hydraulic pump to the exact lift height you need whether you're working on a low-clearance sports car or a high-riding SUV, and you stay level with the chassis. That eliminates the crouching and the constant readjustment you get with a floor jack. For example, my neighbor who runs a small classic car restoration shop said the lift cut his brake pad replacement time in half because he no longer had to pull the car up and down repeatedly to reach the bolts. The hydraulic pump feels smooth, with enough pressure to raise a fully loaded pickup in under a minute. That instant lift is where the zero-hassle claim starts to feel accurate. On the flip side, the lift isn't a magic wand for anyone who only needs to pop a tire once a year. The initial setup does require a solid, level surface and a bit of space to swing the rollers out. If you live in a cramped apartment with a narrow driveway, you'll likely find the 27-inch height a bit excessive for low-profile cars, and the rollers might struggle on uneven pavement. The hydraulic pump also needs a manual effort to crank, so you're still using your arm muscles, just a different set. Users who expected a push-button, self-leveling system will be disappointed. This is still a manually pumped hydraulic system, and you have to keep an eye on the pressure gauge to avoid overlifting. One of the practical strengths that often gets lost in spec sheets is the safety feature built into the lift's design. The frame locks into place once the desired height is reached, and the hydraulic cylinder has a release valve that prevents sudden drops. In a real-world test, I lifted a 5,500-pound SUV, let the lift settle, and walked away for a few minutes while the vehicle stayed steady. That kind of passive safety is comforting when you're under the car checking a leaking brake line or swapping out a drive shaft. The 7,000-pound rating also means you won't have to worry about the lift being under-engineered for heavier trucks, which is a common pain point with cheaper, lower-capacity jacks. However, the lift's capacity is a double-edged sword. Because it's built to handle up to 7,000 pounds, the frame is heavier and bulkier than a simple 2-ton floor jack. The whole unit weighs around 80 pounds, so moving it around the garage isn't as effortless as rolling a small dolly. If you need to store it in a closet that's already packed with gardening tools, you might end up stacking it in a way that defeats its roll and fold convenience. The weight also means you need a sturdy, level base. Trying to set it up on a sloped driveway can cause the rollers to wobble, which reduces stability while you're working. Another point to consider is the learning curve. The hydraulic pump has a release lever that feels a bit stiff at first, and the height adjustments require you to watch the gauge closely. For seasoned mechanics, this is just another tool to get accustomed to, but for a novice who's never used a hydraulic lift, there's a risk of overpressurizing the cylinder or setting the height too low, which could lead to the vehicle tipping if you're not careful. The user manual is clear, but it doesn't replace a hands-on demonstration, and a few YouTube tutorials can help bridge that gap. In terms of value for money, the price sits between a high-end floor jack and a professional-grade lift.